All right. Welcome. We're gonna have this week's pre-market analysis data. Let's go over this week's targets and what we're looking forward to ahead of the new week. Okay. Now, realistically, there's a lot of potential for this week coming ahead, and let's just get straight into it. Okay. So, realistically, guys, right, when we take a look at gold on the higher time frame, i.e., the monthly, i.e., the weekly. Okay. Now, we're going to focus mainly on the weekly perspective for the time being, just because it has a closer target, right? Monthly for gold, there's a lot of downside potential, potentially back to 2700. Also, looking at the low of the last month's candle at 2860. Okay, there's potential for us to really stretch for these lower prices. Okay, now what we're going to look forward to or focus mainly on this week is this weekly imbalance. Okay, so I'm looking at the low here and the high here. Okay, this area is going to be quite interesting for the week coming ahead, and I want to see if we can actually gravitate towards that. And the thing is, we may not get that this week, like a complete fill this week. Maybe it might happen in the week after, but downside potential is what I'm going to mainly look for on gold. And I do understand on the daily time frame for gold, we have definitely approached and reached key areas where market can definitely give us a push from. I'm not denying that fact, okay? However, I'm looking at this from a higher time frame and taking a little look, right? A little bird's eye view look at what gold may potentially do. And I'm not saying like, we'll probably still get a push from this daily candle. I think that is a given, but I don't see this daily candle being the area where we potentially get all-time highs, okay? So these are going to be the parameters that we're going to work with, okay? So we had this previous daily imbalance. You can see how price held it. We wicked all the way back up. If you go to the 4 hour and the 8 hour candles, you're going to see how market respected that level very well. So in terms of this week, I still do want to see gold give us a pullback from, last week's absolute crash, right? I want to see us potentially push up, right? Head into that daily imbalance and hold this level. I want to see us really hold this level. I don't. It's not best if we see price push past this half-hour candle. Okay, so this half-hour candle is going to be a point of interest for us to look at for next week, and I want to see us hold right this imbalance. I don't want to see candle closures outside the area, especially on the daily time frame. Okay, so if we at the end of, let's just say, Monday, Tuesday, we get a push up and we start to see how those daily candles closes, then we can look forward to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday potentially giving us an expansion lower. Okay, even when I look at the economic calendar for this week, we don't have any high impacts for Monday, Tuesday. We've got Halifax House Price Index for the pound. We've got FOMC minutes on Wednesday, core CPI and CPI data Thursday, and then Friday we've got PPI for the dollar. So it's definitely going to be after. I would say on Wednesday, Thursday are going to be the most volatile days. So I'm kind of expecting or looking forward to seeing a slow burner for the DXY, which should give gold a little bit of a room to push to the upside. So we can look for buys early on in the week and then flip bias back to being bearish, as I do see this potentially heading down to that weekly imbalance. Okay, I really want to see us head down to that area where I do think it's a very good area for us to then potentially reach up and make new all-time highs once again. All right, let's turn our attention over to the DXY. So right now, at the moment, when we look at the DXY, like I explained in the live streams and whatnot, on Monday we had that. Sorry, not on Monday. On the monthly, we had this daily or monthly candle print here, and at the time we saw that monthly candle printing very bearish, and I did say, look, this is the most extreme area where we can actually get a push up from the dollar. Now I'm not saying that the dollar is now going to flip bullish, but if there is one area to look at, it's the area where we've initially rejected from, okay? And looking at how we've had such a nice turnaround on the weekly, how this weekly candle is pulling back to the upside, it does look like potentially we may get the new weekly candle continuing to create the high of the week somewhere around here, and then flipping down to make the low of the week somewhere here, and then closing here. If we get moves lower, then so be it. But right now, I really, really like what I see on the dollar, and I do think that we will open up, push up higher. We do have a gap inside of here, okay? Push up higher, close off that gap, and then potentially extend lower for the remainder of this week coming up. Okay, so again, even when I look at the indices and the stock market, the downside potential is still there. There's still more room to the downside. I don't think we're gonna finish selling off. Um, when I look at the Nasdaq, we could potentially come down to 17,000. We can even also come down to 15,000 as well. This is not done. This is far from being done in terms of these massive sell-offs that we're seeing. With the S&P 500, potentially seeing us back at 5K is a real target. Well, we're at 5K, but 4K 5, 4K 6 is a real target for the S&P 500, and that is something. Okay, guys, that is something that you need to look out for and potentially take advantage of. Next up is Bitcoin. So I did throw you guys a setup for Bitcoin for us to get pulled back and a drop lower. We were able to look at some shorts last week, Friday. We took those shorts, prices came back, went back into profit, came back, went back into profit, and eventually we did push back up. Okay, we haven't taken out this hourly high. Okay, we've held the hourly high and we started to drop lower. So this is definitely giving me the confluence or the confidence to understand that, okay, cool, Bitcoin may continue pushing lower for the rest of today. I'm gonna be surprised if one of my alerts get hit as well. Okay, so in terms of Bitcoin, we're gonna see what it wants to do for today, and then from tomorrow we should be able to get a little bit of a clearer picture in terms of a pullback high, and then we can continue to short Bitcoin lower. With Nasdaq dropping, Bitcoin's also going to keep dropping. Bitcoin, as I said to you guys, Bitcoin at 73K is a really, really good price, and I'd like to see us keep dropping on most of the crypto market. Okay. Other than that, I will cover most of the majors during the week, so I will look forward to seeing you guys inside the live streams. And as always, remember theory behind the practice, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.